Okay, hi guys. Um, cool. How's everybody doing tonight? Um, Let me be your song. Thank you for joining us. I hope that you're having fun. Um, would I consider elevator music for my breaks and just singing along and very softly until chat notices? That would be super appropriate. I think that would be very Stanley Parable. Does the game feel linear to me? At times, it would look quite linear compared to its peers. It's hard to judge it compared to its peers, because I mean, really, then we're talking about like 1997 first-person shooters. If we're talking about, I mean, honestly, if we're talking about any first-person shooters, I think they're generally very linear, until you get into first-person RPGs, like Skyrim and Fallout and all of that stuff, which is obviously super non-linear, but well, I mean, I'm making broad generalizations about first-person shooters. I do not play a lot of them. I've played like Halo and a Spec Ops game and a Call of Duty game. Like, not a lot of games. Uh, but I mean, I think it's fundamentally linear in the sense that there is a, a set experience that's linear, and obviously the levels kind of twist all around, and it's not just straight hallways. But in the sense that like you sort of have to do A and then B and then C, it's definitely linear. It feels good. Like, it doesn't feel super locked down. There are some games that I think can feel like you're just trudging along, and this does a good job of not doing that. But I'm certainly aware that there's only one path for me to take. Like, I'm not under any illusions about that, and I use that frequently when I'm trying to navigate. Like, when I get stuck, I sort of try to figure out like what is the path that they want me to take, because I know that there is only one. How do the music choices or lack thereof make you feel in the game? I think the way that they use music in this game is really, really great. It's because it's so sparse, and so there's a lot of the game where you're kind of just left with the ambient sound, and your own thoughts, and it makes it feel kind of empty and lonely, and makes you pay attention to the radio chatter that you can hear and the alien skittering and that kind of thing, and then when the music kicks in, because there's so little music, I mean, it's a huge contrast. It's a big difference. Like, the music kicks in really hardcore, and it's all big music, like very emotional music. And some of it is clearly targeted towards like anxiety, I guess. I mean, like, really trying to freak me out. Like, there's something big coming around the corner. Like when we sort of approached that mech for the first time, and there was big music, and then when we launched the rocket, there was big like super victorious music. So that was I think it has a much more dramatic effect because there's so little of it, and also I think it's honestly pretty good music for a first-person shooter. Like, it's not really iconic. The Halo music is really like catchy, iconic. Like, it gets stuck in my head, and I would recognize it anywhere. I don't know that I would recognize any of this music, but it's melodramatic. It's definitely stirring, and it's very affecting. My hair, huh? Yeah, I don't know what to tell you about my hair. I mean, I don't do much special with it. I mostly just try to shave it off. But it's it is what it is. I don't know what else to say. Um, Skyrim is not a typical FPS. Yeah. Skyrim's. I wouldn't even call Skyrim a first-person shooter. It's definitely a first-person game, and it involves shooting. But FPS has a lot of connotations that Skyrim just it would give the wrong impression of that game. The little map regions where you venture outdoors. Gordon's first mission was simply to get to the surface. How does that play along with the whole long, middle, short term goal posting? Totally. So it's interesting. The first time, so twice I've been to the surface. And my original goal, you're absolutely right, was just get to the surface. And I honestly kind of thought that was going to be the whole game, was me trying to navigate this labyrinthine complex underground and eventually get to the surface. But no, that's not the case. And I think it actually plays really strongly with the narrative of the game. The first time I get to the surface, I'm immediately forced back underground by a helicopter and a bunch of army soldiers shooting at me from behind a fence. So the surface is not safe. I was trying to get to the surface because it would be safe there, and it's not safe. It's if anything, more dangerous than Black Mesa, and so I have to go back underground. The second time I go to the surface is for the rocket launch, and I think at that point, the surface is not immediately dangerous with that sort of sniper aside. It's very peaceful. It looks really calm. It looks beautiful. There's the sky is colorful. There's crickets. And obviously it's designed so that I can't get out. I can't actually make my escape from there. But it's not threatening in the same way that it was the first time. Now the thing that forces me to go back underground is the fact that I'm trying to put an end to this. I'm trying to stop it. I'm trying to save the world or save the base or whatever it is I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get rid of these aliens. Now I have almost a higher mission. Originally my mission was just to escape, and now escaping is not going to be good enough. I have to actually save something. Do something heroic. For future streams, do I have plans to take suggestions for games that I play? What sorts of games do you want to tackle once we're past the 4 in February? Yes, totally. I would love your input on games that I should play. I've started putting together a list that I don't have up. What I'll probably do is I would love for, we're at about that point where I don't think I'm going to finish Half-Life next time, but I will probably finish it in the next couple times that I stream it. So it'd be great to start thinking about what I'm going to do next. I would love to get suggestions from you guys. If you shout them out now, I will probably see some of them. You can also send them to me at Twitter at NDEF. And I'll put them on the list. And then what I'll probably do is take a handful of them off of that list and put up a straw poll or something like that and see, what we want to play next. I think typically what I'm going to be looking for is games that I haven't played before or haven't played for a while that are somewhat narrative driven, or at least sort of experience driven in a finite way. So possibly I could do a procedural game and just sort of put a time limit on it, but I'm mostly interested in games that are gonna tell a story over a period of time, and ideally that's a period of time that's not more than 15 or 20 hours, because it ends up in the stream, that ends up being like more like 20 to 25 hours, which, then takes up a lot of linear time. So like Papoyo was like 6 hours or something like that. That's like a perfect length for a game, and a perfect kind of game, I think, that's got a lot of gameplay, but it's also got a lot of narrative. And my biggest thing is the experience design. So a game that combines narrative and gameplay, like, can create a really interesting experience. So if you have ideas along those lines, there are also a bunch of Kickstarter games that I've gotten over the last couple of years that I haven't had a chance to play. So I'd love to play through some of those. I think there's lots of good possibilities. But I'd love to hear suggestions from people, and I'll put up a straw poll or something at some point when it gets closer. Do I have plans to utilize my AskFM? Yeah, I haven't advertised it very much, and I haven't gotten very many questions. I got a handful of questions today that I'm going to try to answer. You guys are more than welcome to ask me questions there, and it's probably going to end up being is when I have a chunk of time to go look at it, I'll just answer a bunch of the questions that are there. So they might sit there for a little while until I have a chance to dedicate some time to it. But totally, it'll be interesting actually to find a balance between like the AskFM and these Q&As, because they kind of serve similar. I don't know. We can talk more about games here, I guess, and more about general other stuff over at Ask. Whatever. Like, if there's a question that you want to ask me, then ask it, and I'll try to answer stuff. Do you think I could make a stream of many short indie games? I love those and feel like you're awesome at analyzing them. So indie games I think are great. Like AAA titles, the trouble with AAA titles for me is they tend to be really, really long. And they can, maybe that's it. They tend to be really, really long. They do a lot of things really well, and but they do a lot of things kind of in a similar way. Indie titles are more likely to take bigger risks, which is interesting to talk about. So indie games, definitely, like if you have indie game ideas or suggestions, that's a great way to go. Did I process how it was night when I went outside again? Yeah, it looked kind of like dusk to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was actually night, but it looked like the sun had sort of just recently set and there's still some color in the sky. But I definitely got a sense of, time had passed since I was out there with the helicopter and it was like midday. Which is cool. It's neat that the game has a sense of time passing that sort of progresses along with the story. Don't I think that an interactive website would be an awesome thing to have? Is that a crack at my website being pretty terrible? 'Cause if it is, then that's pretty true. I just haven't had a chance to do much with it. If you're talking about having more of a like community site like Day 9 has, that would be really super cool. It's also a lot of work that I probably don't have bandwidth for. And Sean makes a business out of this, and so he's able to devote resources to that kind of thing. That's just sort of outside of my scope right now. Now that we're through February, I'm going to try to get through Half-Life as quickly as I can. And I'm also traveling a bunch this month. So this month is going to be kind of weird. But what I would like to do is put together a more consistent schedule so that it's predictable when I'm going to stream. And I'm looking at doing like 1 or 2 a week. And I've been settling in on like Wednesdays at 9 and Saturdays at 6 seem to be like decent times. So it's possible that'll get worked into the schedule somewhere. I'm also really curious to try to leverage other technologies to help sort of this community that has developed, be more connected if it wants to be. So I don't know that I can like. I don't know. I'm going to look into exactly what that means. If people have suggestions of things, then I'm super open to them. And maybe I can do something with a site that is more of an aggregator than obviously what I have now, which is sort of nothing. But I don't know that I can do something that's quite as interactive with the community, I guess, as what Sean has. So lasers and feelings. The lasers and feelings thing is also a thing that I'm super interested in. Also, the tabletop simulator thing is a thing that I'm super interested in. So, Lasers and Feelings is a tabletop RPG that I ran with my class last week, and it's just a lot of fun. And it's very simple and pretty quick and easy. Trying to figure out if there's a way to do that on Twitch and exactly how that would work. And like do it with members of the community. I think that it would have to be like over Skype or something like that. And then we could like Twitch stream the Skype session or something. There's a lot of details that I think need to be worked out before we can figure out if it's even possible. But if that's something that would interest you in either watching or participating in, then let me know that should be a priority. And if you want to be a participant, then let me know, and I'll try to figure out like how that's actually going to work, because it's not clear to me yet how to do it, but I think it would be fun to do, and especially this community is kind of such a fun little community. It'd be really neat to play a role-playing game together. So that's something that I'm interested in doing. I've also been working on some little like board games, tabletop games. And I'm interested in doing play tests over Tabletop Simulator, which I think would be fun if I can figure out how to do that. And so similarly, if anybody would be interested in watching that or playing a game with me or for me and talking about it, like so that the thing with that you have to understand is that if you were going to play a game that I was playtesting on Tabletop Simulator, the game would be terrible, because that's how games work. Like the first time that you play them, they're really, really bad, and that's why you do playtests to see like what works and what doesn't work. I would love to sort of have a game grow up inside of this community. I think that would be a lot of fun, but people might need to suffer through some iterations of a game that is just like really super bad for a while. I don't know if that would be interesting to anyone, but if it would, let me know, and that's something that I can try to prioritize as well. Cool. Yeah. What do I think about 4 in February as a way to finish games or as a way to promote gaming in general? This has been really great for me. It's been a little stressful because it's especially at the beginning, I took a lot of time playing games that I probably should have been like sleeping or something. I'm really excited that I got through so many games that have been like literally sitting on my list for years. I think that this is, and the fact that it's like 1 month, like do it in 1 month is super, because I could not keep up this kind of pace forever. Even if I wasn't streaming, I think it's, if it was easy to play games all the time, then I would not have a backlog of games that I always wanted to play. But I feel like I made real, actual progress, and I didn't just try some stuff out, but I actually finished some games. I think, I would totally do it again next year, and I would probably try to pick games that would be like really appropriate for it. I think it's super, and I think it's a super way to encourage people in general to like play more games, which is I'm a proponent of, because that's my passion, and that's my hobby, and that's my industry, and that's what I love. So I like when people play games and talk about games. That's fun for me. Yeah, so what's the best way to communicate with me about ideas outside of Twitch and or Twitter? So right now, I think Twitch and Twitter are probably the best ways to communicate with me. I'm also, that's Twitter is the thing that I've been sort of checking the most and most on top of recently. That seems to be cyclical, but it would be pretty great to have like a forum or something. And it's not something that I think I can totally manage myself, but there might be a good like third-party solution, or some good like, I don't know, forum as a service. Is that something that exists? I'm worried about having to moderate and or like clean it of spam and stuff. But it would be pretty great to have some kind of a forum. I agree, and that would be a great way to then allow everybody to communicate with each other and with me. So that's something that I'll think about as well, and try to figure that out. In the meantime, like for the time being, I think Twitter is the best way to get in touch with me. Twitter spam. Yeah, we'll see if everybody tweets at me, if I will be able to keep up with all of that. Okay, Twitter sucks. Oh, mailing list. Oh, interesting. Or a Google group. All right, I'll look into that kind of stuff. Google Group might work, because Google Group is mostly like a mailing list, right? Okay, cool. I'll look into that. I'll look into setting up a Google Group. Probably won't happen in the next week because I'll be out of town, but that will go on my list of things to do. I don't have a Steam group. I'm not sure what a Steam group is. Is it what is a Steam group? I only really know the Steam communities that are centered around games. Guys, thanks for all of your offers to help out. I think that's fantastic. If anybody knows of like a forum software or service that they've used, that they've vetted, that is like particularly good, let me know about that. I'll do some research of my own and maybe set up like a Google group. Seems like a decent thing. And I think, yeah, a Google group, as far as I understand it, is basically a mailing list. It doesn't require a Google Plus or a Google account, I don't think. Well, that's my cat. It might require a Google account to manage, but probably not. I don't know how you log in if you don't have a Google account, but you can sign up with just any mail, like any email address, and it's essentially a mailing list. Steam Group gives you group chat, bulletin board for announcements, etc. Oh, interesting. Um, hmm. I will look into that. So I'll look into both of those things. I'll look into a Google group or a Steam group. I think a Google group makes sense because I think it's really accessible, and anybody can sort of. It's very lightweight, like it's just a mailing list. And a Steam group I think makes sense because I don't know if everybody's on Steam, but I imagine that a lot of people are on Steam, and certainly all of the games that I've been playing on Steam. So that might also make sense. But I'll look into both of those things. Best part of teaching a class. Okay, this is probably my last question, but best part of teaching a class. So I've only been doing it for 2 semesters. I don't have a ton of experience with this. Although I've always liked, doing teachery things. But I've had this class for 2 semesters. The creativity that my students exhibit is really, really breathtaking. And seeing a lot of them kind of get to blossom a little bit and show off talents that certainly I didn't know that they had when they walked in the first day. And for some of them, I think that they didn't know that they had or that they are actively developing is fantastic. It's just fantastic. The class that I teach is Intro to Game Design at an undergraduate level, and it's essentially a class on board games where a lot of the students who go through it are really interested in having careers eventually in video games. But our focus as an introductory class is all on mechanics and designing experience and designing game systems and doing all of that with tabletop games and building skills that then will translate to digital games later. So a lot of the students who come into my class don't have a lot of experience with board games. Don't have certainly not a lot of experience designing them, and so I get to sort of take them through something that is very new to them, and the class pushes them really hard. Like, it's a lot of work over the course of 15 weeks. We make there's like 5 different game projects. They're always working on a game, and then they frequently have other stuff to do as well. And so a lot of them come in and they're not necessarily really super excited about the idea of taking a board game class because that doesn't seem relevant to what they want to do. But after a couple of the projects, some of them really get into it and they produce amazing work that's stunningly creative. And just very original and very exciting and very promising. I see the seeds of really great game designers in a lot of these students. So I think that's the most exciting thing. I love to have fun with them. So the day that I get to play a tabletop RPG with them is a blast. And I do a weekly thing where that we've been calling game tasting, where we just basically spend 2 hours at the end of the day with whoever wants to come and introduce them to foundational board games, like things that as designers they should be aware of, and mechanics that they should know, and that kind of thing. And we don't always play all the way through, but just to get a taste of all of them, to try to improve everybody's board game literacy, because that's really important for designers. Playing games with them is always a blast. I love doing all of that stuff. I love all of that. But I think my favorite thing is like seeing them really grow and excel, and seeing the things that they make. I love that they get a chance to be creative in this class and actually make things, and they make really, really cool stuff. Okay. Very cool, guys. I'm gonna scan over this. So if you put in like game suggestions or anything, I'll look at that. Otherwise, send me messages on Twitter if you have suggestions. I'm probably going to be live tweeting a lot of the Game Developers Conference next week. So I hope that that's interesting to some of you, because otherwise my Twitter feed is probably going to be kind of a mess for like 4 or 5 days. But you can just mute me for 4 to 5 days if that's not your cup of tea. And then I'll be back, and we'll do more Half-Life, and we'll do more games and more Q&As later on in March. Thanks everybody for hanging out. This was a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun to spend time with you. So have a great night and have a great week. And I expect to see you again next Saturday if you can make it. All right. Thanks. Bye.